President Kasym-Jomart Tokayev paid his first official visit to Italy this January, thus demonstrating Kazakhstan's strategic partnership with the European Union and especially Italy. Today we're here with the Ambassador Marco Alberti. Thank you for having the time of the day and agreeing to this interview.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start with the first question. What do you think the future holds for Kazakh-Italian partnership and cooperation, given that bilateral trade turnover was exceeding several $billion last year?
Thank you very much for your question. We are very happy about the visit. President Tokayev paid a great visit to Italy, and it was a starting point for strengthening the relations between our countries. And the visit continues to generate, opportunities. Let me say that I think that our vision is transforming excellent bilateral relations that we had into a strategic partnership, as you said. That the complex work that we have already started, and the visit has accelerated the implementation of this vision. Trade turnover is one key point of this strategic transformation of our bilateral relation, but it is not the only one. We are working on different sectors. Trade is one, and the trade turnover has tripled over the last 3-4 years, which is a very good sign. But there are also investment, so not only made in Italy, but also made with Italy. Italian investment in Kazakhstan that we are trying to promote in different sectors, but also cultural relations. We opened an Italian Cultural Institute in Almaty, which is the only one in Central Asia, because we believe that cultural relations can be a platform to strengthen and make our relation more strategic. And also university cooperation, inter-university cooperation. We have 97 agreements between Italian and Kazakh universities, and some more will come. So the idea is not focusing on just one sector or one areas of the cooperation, but extending and expanding cooperation to make it more strategic.
Thank you for your answer. It was very insightful. But before we move on to cultural cooperation, I have to ask, energy sector remains the priority of Kazakh-Italian relations, with crude oil accounting for more than 97% of Kazakh exports to Italy. How can Rome and Astana diversify their bilateral relations in this sector?
Yeah, let me say, first of all, energy is a very wide word. You can make reference to different sectors and subsectors. So when we say energy, for example, we are diversifying, moving Italian-Kazakh cooperation also towards green energy. The Italian companies, Eni Arm Wind, is building a new green power plant, and that's a new step forward in the cooperation. But I think that there are a kind of diversification that we have also to apply, not only in different sectors. Let me mention, for example, agriculture, agribusiness is a huge potential of bilateral cooperation, creative industries. But what Italy can offer particularly is also the cooperation in the sub-sectors. Just to mention, let me mention, for example, in the oil and gas sector, which is the traditional one of our cooperation, Italy produces the 33% of oil and gas valves in the world. So it's a very specific point of excellence in the value chain that we want to emphasize. Or if you take, for example, automation, nobody or just a few people know that Italy has the largest robotic industry in Europe. 655 companies, and that's another sector where we can strengthen cooperation. Nanotechnology and nanomaterials. Kazakhstan is growing in digitalization, in automation, in all these strategic areas, and Italy can offer something very interesting in terms of products, but also in terms of companies, as particularly small and medium enterprises, which own top-notch technologies and are very open to internationalize.
To add onto that point, do you believe that switching to uranium and rare earth minerals will have a potential in that respect?
Yeah, we don't want to switch, we want to add.
Oh.
It's another land of opportunity, and the EU is looking with great interest to Kazakhstan. EU Critical Rare Earth Act It's a starting point for us, and in 2022, on the sidelines of the COP27 in Egypt, EU and Kazakhstan signed a strategic MOU. Now there is a roadmap to implement this particular sector. Kazakhstan, has 16 or 17 of the 34 critical materials that are necessary to implement a green industry in Europe. So the potential is great. In my view, we should not make the mistake to concentrate only on extraction, but also to connect this new opportunity to, for example, the logistic and transportation infrastructure. So the middle corridor, all the investments that we are promoting in the middle corridor are functional also to increment and facilitate the export or the import of rare materials towards Europe. We don't want only rare earth. We want also to have a cooperation on critical materials along the entire value chain, bringing technology to help Kazakhstan develop its own technology.
Thank you for clarifying that. And moving on, I want to talk about investment. Last year, Kazakhstan saw a 30% increase of Italian investment inflow into our country. Can you describe what projects does Italian business find the most promising here in Kazakhstan? What attracts Italian investors the most?
I think that, in Italy, Italian companies have started looking at Central Asia, and particularly Kazakhstan, in a different way. Kazakhstan is more well known in Europe for opportunities that the country can offer, but also for the level of cooperation that the two countries at the institutional political level have reached out to. So that's a key point. Two friends country is a facilitation, friendship between countries is a facilitation for business as well. And what we bet on at the beginning, as far as I'm concerned, at the beginning of my mandate, was to reflect the right perception of Kazakhstan in Italy. And that was the first step. Now we are trying, to diversify, as I said, because the potential of the cooperation is not just concentrated on one sector. So agribusiness, I mentioned agribusiness is something that is interesting. Or, for example, the creative industry. Kazakhstan is promoting creative industry. There is a great talent here, a lot of talent. Italy can offer companies which are very developed in this sector. But let me also add something, that what we can do in terms of increasing investment is attracting small and medium enterprises. Kazakhstan is very complementary to Italy. You have big state-owned companies, and you need to diversify towards small and medium enterprises, and Italy can do it, can help in this. Small and medium enterprises in Italy account for 95% of our GDP. So I think it's a great richness for our economy that we can share. Of course, attracting small and medium enterprises as a condition. They don't look at opportunities only, but they look at risks. So what Kazakhstan is doing, improving their business environment, is reducing risk, reducing the uncertainty that can block the investment.
Building up more on that topic, how does Italy access investor regime in Kazakhstan? In addition to successful cooperation between our countries in the energy industry, do you plan to expand cooperation in Kazakhstan in other areas? We talked about energy and agriculture and more.
Yes, I think that in order to be effective in attracting investment, you need to prepare the ground. So what you have done over the last 2 years is preparing the grounds for investment, which means in Italy, having an offering as a small and medium enterprises support to internationalization towards Kazakhstan. We have two agencies, CIMEST and SACE, which work very intensively on promoting the internationalization company and granting the credit, and so the conditions which are necessary, particularly for small and medium enterprises. Second point is working together with Kazakhstan to improve the business environment, which is not just taxation or just access to credit, but it's also a link between political institution, regulatory framework of the country. So these measures are to prepare investment. Then we are choosing. Any strategy means choice. If you don't make any choice, everything is priority. But you see, everything is priority, nothing really is. So we chose some sectors, which I've mentioned. Energy, not only traditional energy, but also green energy, agribusiness, infrastructure, and creative industries. But we also have some more to add, which are automation and robotics. And last but not least, the last point that we are developing is not just focusing on the traditional point of the value chain, but exploring any other opportunity. Let me say that green energy doesn't mean only wind pails or solar panels. It means grids, for example, electric grids, infrastructure, digitalization, modernization of the infrastructure, which is functional to the process of carbon towards the carbon neutrality by 2060. So we have a lot of companies, for example, which are world champions, world leaders in the electric cables or in the digitalization of the infrastructure. We are inviting them.
Can you name some project currently working and going on in Kazakhstan, in the sector of green energy, for example?
Yes, of course. I mean, the most relevant, significant project is the one that has been implemented also thanks to the visit of President Tokayev to Italy, which is a hybrid project in Mangistau, performed by ENI and Kasym-Jomart. They are working on. The idea is offering, this country, the top-notch technologies that ENI and Armwind can offer in terms of green energy and transformation. Hybrid is something very innovative in this country. It's a real concrete project that we want to have implemented very soon. Meanwhile, we are working on the agribusiness sector with some specific project in the food processing. What we noted, and Kazakhstan is very strong in terms of production, but there is a lot of space for cooperation in the food processing, particularly in the Almaty region. So just to mention some, we have many more. Also functional to not only to sell or to bring investment, but also to create in Kazakhstan some service centers and skilling point for Kazakh in order to increment also the skilling of people that is necessary to support this transition.
Is there a plan to bring Italian companies connected to food processing into Kazakhstan, probably build factories and cooperate with agricultural sector of Kazakhstan?
There is no specific plan because companies know exactly what they can do and what they want to do. What Italy and the Italian institutions, the embassy, but also the Italian trade agency in Almaty, what we can do and what we want to do and what we are doing is helping them knowing the market, helping them knowing the facilities that Kazakhstan can offer, knowing them, to prepare the ground for the investment. But there is no plan because companies are very flexible today and they perfectly know if they want and where they want to invest. What we did was putting Kazakhstan into the Italian companies' radar for them to know that Kazakhstan offers opportunities. And now we are working to reduce the risks of that investment, of that possible investment in single areas. And during this day, there is a quite relevant business mission from SACE, which is our governmental agency aimed to cover the risk. We have 3 or 4 projects that I cannot mention now, but they are on the pipeline with different Kazakh counterparts. And we believe that by the end of the year, we can announce something interesting.
I would like to move on to a different topic, which you briefly mentioned, taxation. Starting next year, the tax code will change in Kazakhstan, which will also affect foreign businesses. What changes will be made to the work of Italian investors and business representatives in Kazakhstan, taking into account these amendments to tax code?
Let me say that my feeling is that the tax code is not to affect, but to attract companies. So we believe and we hope that the new tax code will be functional and instrumental to increase the foreign investment in Kazakhstan. If you allow me to add something, I think that the taxation, the real enemy of investment is not taxation. Of course, companies want to pay taxes. The real enemy is uncertainty. So I didn't I'm not an expert. I didn't analyze, the proposal of the reform of the tax code in detail. But what I hope and what I'm sure about, that the code is very good and will be very good if it will be able to reduce uncertainty, as the Kazakh government wants to do. This is part of the new Kazakhstan, that President Tokayev is designing. And let me say that taxation is part of the improving of the business environment, which includes not only taxes, but also a general policy of attraction of investment at institutional level, at regulatory level. What we are waiting for is that the tax code not only that can be able to reduce the risks that any country can have in terms of investment. Kazakhstan is working hard on this, and if the tax code is part of this general policy of attraction of investment, will be very good. What we are scared of, not only in Kazakhstan, everywhere in the world, is retroactivity. What businesses are afraid of is retroactivity. What they need is a forward-looking vision, a forward-looking instruments which grant stability, which grant visibility into the future, particularly in this time of uncertainty, of geopolitical turmoils. So tax code can contribute to this.
You mentioned political turmoils in our current time. Recently, President Kasym-Jomart Tokayev published his article in Euronews talking about middle powers. In your opinion, in the current realities, are middle powers really capable of changing the diplomatic and geopolitical agenda?
Yes, I do. I believe, because what I see is countries facing existential threats and global challenges. And such scenario can be faced only through cooperation. So cooperation is much better than confrontation in order to face these existential threats that we are all facing around the world. And middle powers have the power and the possibility to reshape a new concept of multilateralism. And the multilateralism essence is cooperation. So we need to be convinced that the future of the world does not depend on the prevarication of the other ones, but on the cooperation among the highest number of countries worldwide. And the middle power, I don't know if there is a specific definition of middle powers, but what I perceive is there is a group of countries, including Kazakhstan, which is more and more influential. And I think they will be able to reshape to contribute to reshape not only geopolitics, but also geoeconomics, which is something very interesting for all of us.
And last but certainly not least topic on our agenda is cultural exchange. Recently, Leonardo da Vinci's painting, La Bella Princesa, was brought to Astana and is now displayed in the National Museum. Is there any certain factors that contributed to Kazakhstan being chosen for this? Is Is there any factors that contributed to Kazakhstan being chosen instead of any other Central Asian country, for example?
We have lived an extraordinary year of our bilateral relations. President Tokayev's visit to Italy has been the very important spark for relaunching relations. Before that visit, we had our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Tajani, visiting Kazakhstan after 25 years. Since the previous visit, the trade turnover has grown, the cooperation is good, and we wanted something exceptional. Last year in November, we inaugurated the Italian Cultural Institute. We believe that Kazakhstan can be a hub also for cultural cooperation in Central Asia. We wanted something exceptional, and we believed that Leonardo da Vinci is something exceptional. So that marks the idea that this year must be remembered as a very key year of our diplomatic and bilateral relations. This project has been possible thanks to a teamwork. The Embassy of Italy, of course, and the Italian Cultural Institute, but on the other side, the key support by the Kazakh government, and particularly the Minister of Culture and Information, and two private sponsors like Fotobank and MasterCard. You know, that was key. Whatever each one of these actors has been fundamental and necessary to have this great initiative in Kazakhstan. And the script permanent, which is the curator, gave its contribution to have, I think, a unique event, cultural event. And around this event, we want, to develop many other by-side initiatives on the touristic side, for example, on the economic and promotional side, like fashion and fashion event and touristic promotion and something like that. Let me say that Kazakhstan deserve this, deserve Leonardo da Vinci, which represent for us the concept of modernity. We wanted to transmit to Kazakhstan our concept of modernity, which is not only innovation, but it's innovation plus tradition. How we can develop our tradition in order to launch our countries towards the future. That's what Leonardo da Vinci represents. And Kazakhstan has, responded very well to this initiative. 12,000 visitors over the first 3 weeks of the exhibit. So we also thank the Museum of the Republic of Kazakhstan for his availability. And it's just the first step to, have a great platform of cultural relations.
Do you think there is a possibility of bringing more do you think there is a possibility of bringing more paintings like that are historically and culturally valuable to both our countries, not only from Italy to Kazakhstan, but from Kazakhstan to Italy as well?
We are already working on the Next Year initiative, by the way, not necessarily on painting, but the key point for us is culture as a basis to strengthen our relations and also to promote business. Because culture is not only exhibitions, it is a key engine to promote business. So yes, we are working on new initiatives in the cultural side. This year, December 5, in Astana, at the Astana Opera, we will have a great concert of arias, lyric arias dedicated to Puccini, because we are celebrating 100 years of Puccini's death this year. It's going to be another big initiative in terms of culture, and preparing the Next Year initiative. That's a surprise, but we are already working on a big shot initiative for summer next year.
I would like to lightly talk about, we briefly mentioned education. There is a rise of Kazakhstani students and teenagers going to Italian universities. And I would like to touch bases on that topic as well. What can you say about our cooperation in educational field? And is there a possibility to bring Italian universities, attract them to us as well?
Yes, of course, there is, and there is already projects on this. We are working in cooperation with the Ministry of Science and Higher Education, with Minister Nurbek. We have a specific project to start a new solid cooperation between an Italian top university and the Kazakh top university in the southern part of Kazakhstan. The project is well advanced in the agriculture business, in the agricultural education, because we believe that if you want to have a great success in cooperation in terms of business, you need to have a solid cooperation in terms of education. So that's a pilot project. We will start with a double degree program, and the objective is having a campus of this Italian university in Kazakhstan, like other countries have already done. This new kind of agreement is much more comprehensive, and it's a new bet, because as I always said, last year in 2021 we issued around 2,000 visas for students, Kazakh students who wanted to go to Italy. But what I want is having those students back to Kazakhstan, because we don't want the education, the cooperation in the education field is not depriving a country of its best young talent, but cooperating on having this talent in Kazakhstan, producing and generating value for your country. So this is the idea. Having Italian university here as well, and it's a good way also to make Kazakhstan more known in Italy, because we can transmit, we can offer something, but I'm convinced that we can also learn something from the Kazakh system. That's the idea. Cooperation means that it's a mutual enrichment. So we want university here to transmit and to offer something, but also to be enriched.
I thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. It's an honor for us to have this interview. Thank you for agreeing and providing meaningful insights into our bilateral cooperation between our countries. Thank you.
I have a motto, Sayhat Bastalat.
Thank you so much.